Join me for our final pies in our Thanksgiving pie series. Today we're finishing off strong with our latticed apple pie and our caramel apple pie. So I made two versions of apple pie. We have our traditional lattice apple pie, and then I also have a caramel apple. And I'm going to show you can do it with cranberries, walnuts, raisins, whatever. I chose to do caramel. Let's get baking. So I've got my apples sliced up. I'm making two pies, and so I have double apples, and then you just want to toss them with cinnamon and or apple pie spice. I like to do a little bit of both because I do like for my flavor to be more cinnamon than apple pie spice. But if all you have is apple pie spice, then feel free to use that. So I have a stick of butter, and you add 3 tablespoons of flour to it. Combine them well and then cook together for 1 minute. And then I'm gonna add, per pie, 1 cup of sugar and 1/4 cup of water, and bring it to a boil. Then we wanna reduce our heat and simmer for 3 minutes. So I add my sugar and my water. Bring this to a boil, and then I'll reduce the heat and let simmer for 3 minutes. Once your mixture has thickened, you just want to pour it over your apples and stir to combine. So this topping can be used if you prefer just a Dutch apple pie. I'm gonna use it for my caramel apple. Here's the awesome thing about this recipe. You can do a double crust apple, a Dutch apple, a caramel apple, or a cranberry apple, or whatever else you like. You could do an apple walnut pie. But the apple pie filling itself is gonna be the same. Stir in caramel bits or walnuts or cranberries, whatever add-in you want, and then you choose your topping. You can do a crust, a lattice crust, which I'm gonna show you, or a Dutch apple. So I have my oats, cinnamon, flour, and brown sugar in a bowl, and then I've just chopped up, diced into small pieces, butter, and the best way to do it is just with your hand. You can do it with a mixer, but I find that sometimes it makes it more, less like crummy and more of a solid, and I just really like to have nice crumbs. So basically, if you've never done this before, let me teach you how. You're just gonna get some of your dry and kind of surround a piece of butter with it, and then with your thumb and your fingers just squeeze, and your butter ends up looking kind of like this. And you just keep doing that until you have a nice crumbly mix. All right, so I have this all mixed up, and it's just little clumps of butter mixed with the flour. So now we're gonna put together our pies. If you're doing a double crust or a latticed apple pie, you want to have your crust just be loose around the top. It does not need to be crimped. If you're doing a Dutch apple, caramel apple, anything with the crumb topping, you want that crust to be crimped. So this is the apple pie filling that I made, and I told you that I made it for 2, so I'm just gonna do my best to split up between the 2 pies. Apples cook down a lot when they're cooking, so you do want a lot more apples than you think that it needs. Otherwise, your pie will be really short. So for my caramel apple pie, as I've kind of put my apples in, I just sprinkled caramel bits. I like to use these in throughout. If you had a homemade caramel, you could drizzle that as well. You want it to be enough so when you're slicing it, like you can see the caramel in it. On my crust that I'm gonna do a double, my crust that I'm gonna do a lattice on, I got a little bit of the applesauce, not like applesauce. Anyway, on the edge, just wipe that off because you do want it to be able to stick to the crust that you're gonna put on top. I do like to bake my pies on a pan. You could also line your oven with foil so that if they boil over. I let my apples sit for a little bit, and so they did have some liquid, some juice in the bottom. I just kind of stirred it in as I was doing it, and any excess, just pour over the top. So for your crumb topping, we're just gonna start packing it on. And it is a little bit more of a pack on than just like a sprinkle on, because if you sprinkle it, because we've got our apples They're pretty high. We don't want it to just fall off onto your pan, right? It's not packed super tight, just enough to kind of help keep it there. In the bakery, we used to do tons of apple pies all at once, and we're like, which ones are cranberry, which ones are caramel? Because when they bake, they kind of look the same. So we always would put like one caramel piece somewhere and a cranberry somewhere. In the end, we're going to drizzle it with caramel, which is a step you don't have to do. If you don't want to melt down your bits. I made some caramel apples the other day and have a little of that left also that I'll put on. So I'm going to do my other pie before I put this one in the oven, because they do go into a higher temp oven for a few minutes and then we decrease the temperature. But this is what it looks like before it goes in. Isn't that gorgeous? It looks delicious. So we are going to lattice this pie. It is one of the most impressive ways to make an apple pie, I think. And if you love crust, it's perfect because it's kind of like having a double crust on the tops. It's like 3 crusts. So I did take my crust and I have cut them into long slices, about probably 1 inch thick. You could do them thinner, you could do them thicker, you can get fancy with it. We're gonna go with a basic lattice for anyone who hasn't done it before. So start long piece in the middle, and then you are going to kind of skip a section. So like pretend like there's one there, but go the next one over. And same thing on the other side. Pretend there's one there and go 1 step over. And then I think we can do that once more on the edge here. And then you're going to take one of your smaller pieces and go, let's see, let me turn this so you guys can see it, here. And then we're gonna fill in our gaps. If any of your pieces are a little short, give them a little tug, it'll be fine. A little thick. Let's see if I got a thinner one. I think this guy's better there. It's a puzzle. Just go for it. All right. So now those pieces that we had sat down initially, we're going to fold back. The neighbor's being loud. Okay. Now we're going to do our next kind of shorter piece and lay it on the ones that are still down, and we're going to fold these back where they go. Now, can you see the ones that are kind of under the piece of lattice there? That's the one that goes back. Do you get it? You see what's happening? Next piece right up against it and pull these back. And then the ones that weren't just back, go. And then next piece and back. And then the ones that are underneath that piece of lattice, go for it. I'll turn the pie so y'all can see this side. Next piece. Now it folds backwards to me, okay? And these fold back. And the ones that are under that one, you're just gonna fold them this way. Da, 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 da. Next piece and back. So once you get it, like it's not anything hard, it just looks fancy. And I've seen people, when they get really fancy with it, they will take these and cut them into thirds and like make braids, and every so often as a braid, you can go way over the top with it. And I'm pro over the top. Go for it. And for our last little one, we just need a little piece here. And fold back. Okay. We're just gonna go around and cut off all of our hang off crust here. And then we've got to seal it. Okay. So once you have all of your excess crust, one more piece. Okay. Now we want to crimp it together because we don't want this, like the apple juices that are in it, to kind of go between these crusts and fall out. So just pinching it together. Okay. Now I like to do a crimp pinchers. I'm going to pinch crust here, and then I'm going to do this. Pinch, pinch, let me explain it this way. Pinch, pinch, and then pop it, turn a little, pinch where that one went in, and you just keep going around. This is actually backwards for me. And I am kind of pressing it into the pie a little bit. You don't want your whole crust to be over the edge of the pan, or it can fall off when it's baking. So I've just taken an egg with about a tablespoon of water, whisked it together, and we just want to brush our pie. This is going to give it a beautiful golden, crispy shell. Especially with it being double thick, we want to make sure that it is nice and crisp for everyone. And then I've just mixed together some cinnamon and sugar. We're just sprinkle that all over the top. I love the cinnamon crust. Give me the edges with all the cinnamon. All right, and I'm gonna pop both of my pies in the oven, and they're gonna cook for about 15 minutes and then reduce the heat. And they'll cook anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. It really depends on so many things. But on this pie, you're gonna want for your apple to become translucent and the juice begin to bubble up through the cracks. And it should do that for about 5 minutes, so not like when you first see it. All right, see you in a bit.
Look at all those apple slices layered in there. Oh, divine. Turned out perfect.